My name's Sylvia Green, and I am uniquely placed actually to talk about the two men in the Crompton Woodcock Award. I was Chris Woodcock's partner for the best part of 12 years, and with us today we have Liz Crompton, who was my widow's wife for how many years, Liz?
Almost 50.
Almost 50 years. So I was Chris Woodcock's partner, but I was also line managed by Mike Crompton for 6 years. So I really welcome this opportunity to come along this afternoon and talk about two of my favourite men. And as you know, this organisation is now running bereavement counselling support, which I attended recently. I was blown away by it. It's a fantastic group. But one of the things that you realise when you lose somebody very close to yourself is that you often have very few opportunities to talk about them after a couple of years. So the opportunity to talk about these two men this afternoon is really welcome, and thank you for that. So just to give you a little bit of background, Chris Woodcock actually worked for Kellogg's for 30 years, and he originally ran their legal department, but in his later years with Kellogg's, he became responsible for their community engagement. And in that role, he worked with a lot of very large groups. So he worked with Big Issue in Manchester. He worked with Moss Side and Hume Development Trust. He was also one of the leading proponents of corporate social responsibility, something that kind of started to emerge in the 90s and is well known now. But at the time, it was a new and very innovative idea that corporate bodies would actually think about their impact on their communities. So Chris was very much involved in that. And as a kind of response to that, he became chair of the Development Trust Association, which we now know as Locality. So he was chair of a national organisation for a good number of years, and it also led him to be appointed as the first ever chair of the National Lottery Community Board. So that first round of grants that were ever made out of lottery funding, Chris Woodcock was the person who chaired the meeting. Apparently they were in the room for more than 12 hours, going through the applications and deciding who to give the money to. So he had quite a good profile at the Manchester level. He was on lots of partnerships, but he also had a national profile. And then when he relocated to Glossop to come and live with me, he then got involved in the local voluntary sector, and he was involved with Glossop Cricket Club. He was on the board at Glossop Volunteer Bureau, and of course he was also on the board here at High Peak CVS. He joined the board, I had to look this up last night, he joined the board in 2003, and he became chair in 2004, and he remained as chair until he died in 2008. So what did he bring to High Peak CVS? He was somebody who had, because of his national connections, he had a breadth of vision, he had national awareness of what was going on. His legal mind came in handy very, very often. It meant that he could cut to the nub of the matter very, very swiftly. And he had a deep appreciation of people. He really liked people. In all the time I knew him, there was only one person that he actually admitted not liking. And I won't tell you that. But he also had fabulous problem-solving skills, and again, that comes in very handy for any voluntary sector organisation. So that's Chris. Mike. What can I say about Mike? Well, let's give you the facts. He was a senior lecturer in Spanish at MMU. When I first came across him, he'd recently joined the board of the Peak District Rural Deprivation Forum, and rural deprivation was something that was very, very, very important to Mike. He was one of the founder members of Sustainable Hayfield, and he was also on the board at Rural Action Derbyshire, and he was there for 14 years on that board, 9 as the chair and 6 of them as my line manager, because I used to be chief executive at Rural Action Derbyshire. He was also chair and clerk to Parish Hayfield Council for innumerable years, and he did an awful lot of work with them bringing funding into the village. He was also on the Peak Park Trust, and he was on the Peak Park Parishes Forum. So, as you can see, a man with a wealth of experience and fingers in lots and lots of pies. As a person, Mike was an intellectual, and he was a man with an enormous amount of charm and wit. You only had to meet him for 5 minutes to realise the loveliness that was in that man. He could change the tone of a meeting in an instant. Even when difficult things were being discussed, Mike would find an opportunity to inject humour, to say something in Spanish and then have to explain it all to us. His anecdotes were absolutely legendary. So he was a man who brought people together. For me personally, he was a constant support. It didn't matter what was going on, and sometimes we were dealing with some very nasty problems. It didn't matter what was going on, I could always ring Mike, he would always listen, and he would always offer to come down with chocolates, flowers and fizz. He thought that they could solve any problem. So those are those two men. Mike Woodcock, I'm going to mix their names up now. Yeah, Mike Crompton and Chris Woodcock, and those are the two men that this award is named after. They worked together on the board here at High Peak CVS. They had a huge amount of mutual respect and appreciation for each other. And they both shared the central common aims of this organisation. They understood the massive contribution that all of you make to the well-being of people who live in High Peak. Every voluntary sector organisation contributes in some small ways and in some large ways to the well-being and the health of our community. So they would be delighted to know that this award is being made in their two names.